With CSpire sitting here. How you doing today, Dave?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, good to see you again. We've spent
here.
a lot of time talking about this. Now we get to have the fun conversation.
That's right.
But the scary conversation at the same time, because sometimes you work so hard to make something happen, and then it happens, then you're like, oh, wait, now we have to actually do it, which is the conversation to have here. Also, joining us in the studio right now, we have Shelley Hollis with us. How are you?
Fine.
We were talking right before we went on the air. Get a little closer to that mic, if you would. That you've got a big fancy title, Assistant Director of Cyber Education. I love that. That sounds very 21st century. But you're a teacher. You're an educator. Your education is what you do.
Right. Working to get K-12, kindergarten through 12th grade teachers ready to teach computer science.
And we have joining us also for the roundtable on the phone, the Director for State Government Affairs for Code.org, Amy Roberts. How are you, Amy?
I'm doing great this morning. How are you?
Doing fantastic. And like I said, we have a happy occasion to get together to talk today because last time I think I talked with you guys, Dave, we were still in the process of trying to get the legislation passed for computer education and a computer science curriculum in the schools in Mississippi. Now we're on the other side of that. It passed. It's done.
It is done. In fact, Shelley and I were just talking about this out in the green room, but I really think one of the silver linings from the pandemic, obviously no one likes the fact that we had, this global, virus, and we've had all these deaths, over 7,000 deaths in Mississippi. But one of the silver linings was, to me, is that it reinforced to everyone the importance of the internet, and not just the internet, but all of the applications and all of the software and everything that has to be done in order to make the internet be the internet and work and provide you access to all those great things. So I really think that helped us with this whole computer science curriculum. It really reinforced for the policymakers the importance of having access and just the education that's going to be required, just the introduction to to computer science curriculum, and I really think that really put us over the top. And then, we talked about this too, is that now we've got the bill passed. Now the real work starts because we've really got to really work hard on implementation. And, I think one of the areas that we're really going to have to focus on, and Shelley's going to talk more about that, is in the elementary area. I always tell the story about my grandson, who was six months old, was already flipping through the pictures on the smartphone and saying, hey, I know how to do this, and this is not me. But it just reinforces for me all the time the importance that we've got to give these young kids, the opportunity to be exposed to this so that they can make up their minds, so that they do have a choice to do it. And that's really what this legislation is all about. And that's why CSpire pushed so hard to make this a reality in Mississippi. We've really got to do this to move Mississippi forward.
And it's, Shelley, and I do want to get into the nuts and bolts of exactly, okay, now we have to do this. How are we going to do it? But one thing that I want to make sure that we talk about and we touch on here is making sure that we don't have a misconception, because it's not just solely about teaching them how to use a device. It's not, here's a laptop, here's how you use it. That's not the point. The point is the careers moving forward. I don't care what you're doing. Dave, you and I have talked about it before. There are people that are running huge farms. It's all done with computers now. There are computers on the tractors and GPS systems and everything else. So whatever field you go into, this is hugely important. But also in the computer science industry, there are a lot of jobs and a lot of openings. And the earlier you expose them to this, the better a chance that they have to go into that field if it interests them, right?
Right. And I mean, if you think about it, 50, 75 years ago, we realized it was important for every kid to know something about science and math and reading. And that was based on the world that they lived in that day to make them good and productive citizens and employees. And now when you think about our world today, if you don't know about technology and how that drives your home life, how it drives your career, you're behind. And so it's so important to have that exposure and that knowledge. We're not trying to make everybody a programmer or a computer scientist, but help them to realize that this skill set of knowing about computing and technology will impact not only their personal lives, the way they communicate, shop, bank, control the temperature in their home, and as well as their career, whether they're going into auto mechanics or becoming a neurosurgeon or healthcare or banking, entertainment, anything they want to do, it's going to be impacted by computer science.
Well, and I think a perfect example of that, yeah, Perez.
I was just thinking, my car is smarter than I
am. You're not wrong. I was thinking, and you'll be on board with this one, Perez. Here's a perfect example, because I know you're in the same boat I am. When I started in the radio business, we had big vinyl platters that we played the music on, and reel-to-reel tapes and 8-track tapes, called them carts at the point. Now I did a count during the break. I have 9 screens around me, and there's not a tape or a record to be seen. This isn't the only industry where that kind of change has happened. It's a completely different world.
Right, and you were so right that we are not just trying to teach kids how to use a device. We want them to learn how to create with it. We want to reach kids at an early age, and because we know if you wait too late, they've already decided that they're not good at this kind of stuff. So we need to reach them at elementary school so that they realize, hey, I can do so much creative things with this computer. I can make new things. I can figure out how to do something better, and that's the kind of attitude that we want to instill in our kids of the way to create with technology.
Exactly. And Amy, of course, on the phone with us, Amy Roberts. The first hill was to get this passed and to get this done, which has been a hill that's been climbed now. And as Dave keeps saying, the real work now begins. But we can't gloss over how important it was to get this passed and what an accomplishment that is, I think.
I think that's exactly right, Dave. What's so exciting about what's happening in Mississippi is you already had some schools and some districts that were teaching computer science, that were offering these courses to students. But what this legislation is going to do is going to help make sure that all students in Mississippi have an opportunity to take these courses, that all students from all 4 corners of your state have a chance to get excited about these concepts and to explore this area of study and maybe open those doors to those kinds of jobs we've been talking about, or maybe not. Maybe they just find that they do better in their other subjects. That's what our research shows. Studying computer science helps kids do better in other subjects. They're more likely to go to college, whether that's in computer science or not. So that's really what I'm excited to see happen here in Mississippi, is that all students now are going to be able to take part.
Well, and to me, one of the things that I think a lot of folks miss, and especially in the older generation, I just called us all old, by the way, and I didn't mean that, but that's just the fact of the matter. Computer skills, if you're very skilled with a computer, you don't think about it. If you're not, obviously you don't think about it. Computer skills boil down to a lot of critical thinking.
Absolutely.
That's what it teaches you, and the best part is not hitting you over the head with it. You learn it kind of as a side effect, but you learn critical thinking. You learn how to reason through things when you're learning how computers operate and how they plug into your life. And I have said for years we need a class in critical thinking in the school system because it's something that we're lacking. This is just about as close as you can get to that, isn't it, Amy?
That's exactly right. This is all about problem solving. How do you take a complex question and break it down into its component parts so that you can really figure out what are your options, what are your next steps? It's also very collaborative. It's working with other kids in your class and saying, how do we want to try to move forward, or what are different ways we can tackle this problem? So you're exactly right. This is getting at those skills that transcend one subject area and really become how to operate better in society, be a better citizen.
And Shelley, and in the next segment, I want to talk about curriculum and how we're going to go. But part of that is what people don't realize when you're learning how to operate a computer. Computers are very smart and really stupid at the same time. You have to be able to break it down and explain it logically to the computer to make it do what you want it to do.
You do. Computers are only as smart as the people programming them. So absolutely, you've got to be able to break that problem down and tell the computer step by step what to do. And then it can do it really fast, way faster than you can.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. You got to manage that garbage flow, and then